Anirudh, how are you doing? Thank you
Hi
so
there.
much for taking time out for this conversation. What's up? How are things going?
Hi there. Well, thanks for having me. So yeah, I think it's very good. It's been a interesting journey that we're working on, and over the last few months as a team, to kind of have an impact in the long tail travel space, and something that I think for a long time people have not really looked at, and something that we kind of thought about during the lockdown. And yep, I think we started in March, so it's been an interesting last few months learning about the industry and really starting to add some value to it.
Right, right. So before we actually dive deep into the product, in the conversation pre-recording, we talked about you being a traveler. So let's go back to understanding who Anirudh is, what's your journey, to understand the true genesis of the idea.
Sure. So, I think in 2017, I started working in a startup called Perpule, which was working in the SaaS space for the Indian market. And I used to travel that time to Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta, a little bit of international Indonesia, and Malaysia as well. I stayed typically since I joined when we were seed funded, we used to stay in budget properties then. But this is probably in city centers. Uh, During the lockdown, the company got acquired by Amazon. So somewhere in the start of the lockdown in uh, April 2020, sorry, April 2021, I started traveling. So I went to Himachal for about 3 months. Then I went to Ladakh. Then I was in Goa. Then I was in the Northeast. So, Meghalaya, Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram. And I think for almost 11 months, I was on the road with a backpack, going to small areas, uh, finding places which are not on Airbnb as well, because what I saw was that these people ran properties, but it was all just walk-ins or very minimal online presence. And that is when we kind of like I realized, okay, I like traveling. This is something that I do feel passionate about. And because I had an insight after traveling, both in cities as well as in these small properties, I understood what problems they face. And that's basically when we said, okay, there is somewhere we are seeing there is a problem that can be solved. And if we go deep enough in this space, there is a big enough market as well that seems interesting for us. So we said, okay, let's try to do something for them. At that point, we probably didn't see market size so much, but we just said, okay, let's help 15, 20 properties and understand their problem. And then we slowly have kind of built it on top of that.
So, I mean, how did you come across this problem again? Did you talk to hotel owners? What was the motivation there?
Yeah, so I think everywhere I used to go, at some point, if you stay in a property long enough, people start talking about their lives. And for them, there were two major problems we saw. So there was one set of owners who said, hey, I have uh, like my profits are just very low because I am predominantly just on online travel platforms. And if you're only dependent on a platform, they have obviously more power to kind of set the rates at their convenience, right? So they were saying they were paying anywhere from say 20 to 35% commission per booking. So if it's 1,000 rupee or a 2,000 rupee room, you're paying anything from 250 to 350 rupees. Sorry, 250 to probably about 500 to 700 rupees per booking to the platform. So this became a problem. So I think this is where we said, okay, this we understand. And obviously, if you look at their entire business, when you're doing probably 10 lakhs revenue per month, if you are giving 3 lakhs just as commission fees, and then post your cost, you're left with probably a lakh kind of as profit. So this was something we had heard as complaints from properties when especially when I traveled to cities or if I went to a tourist area which was having high traffic movement. Uh, so for them, the goal was, I think they're like, I get business. I just need to now probably find ways to reduce my commission. This on the other side, me as a traveler, I would not book on OTAs because I knew if I book directly with the property, I would get better rates. Because I understood that this exists, and I saw a lot of youngsters who were 20, 21, 22 really understanding this. So they would not really book online. They were probably talking to the property or trying to go on Google and compare prices. So that was one bucket of the problem. The second bucket was properties in more remote areas. So say take Dirang in Arunachal Pradesh. Not many people have heard of it, but there are nice homestays. It's a beautiful area. The property owner there feels that yeah, I need to have a digital presence. They've started using Instagram. They kind of post and slowly they've built their followers from say 100 to 2,500 in the last 1 year. So decent social media presence now. And the next thing for them is, hey, we need to be online, right? And if they want to build a website, they typically have no provider there because you don't have a tech presence there. If they do find someone, it'll be probably very far away in Delhi who says, okay, wire me 50,000 rupees first and I'll build you your website. So obviously you don't give someone 50,000 rupees immediately because there's trust and all of that coming in. So that was the second space we said, okay, people want to build their own brand, at least to have a digital presence, and we can assist them in this. There is some difficulties they have. It can be language, it can be the fact that they don't have a computer, so it has to be mobile first. So these are two buckets, and the solution to both of them was quite similar. Where we said, okay, what you need to have is finally your website and get direct bookings. If you get direct bookings, you can have your own digital brand presence, and you can also get bookings at a lower commission. So I think, yeah, this was the kind of place where we came in and said we want to. I mean, it makes sense to solve. Uh, it's like solving two problems out with one solution. So we said, okay, maybe this is something that's interesting to work on, and that's how the idea kind of came to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I'm astonished to know that hotels spend about 75% of their profit as commissions to these OTAs. So I'm sure it's a huge problem for them. Very interesting. So what exactly is Hotelzify for the folks who are listening to us this for the first time? Can you talk about the product and what exactly are you trying to accomplish?
Sure. So, if you look at the e-commerce space, you had Amazon first, and then you had the Shopify's and Dukans now coming in, where they're basically enabling you to build your own website in a self-serve manner. So our goal is to do the same thing, but for the short-term rental accommodation space. So it could be budget hotels, it can be lodges, hostels, it can be homestays. So anyone who has rooms and selling rooms for anything from say 1 day to maybe a month, right, is our TG. And what we're doing for them is that downloading our application, you can kind of build your own self-serve website where you can add your property details, you can add your rooms, you can add prices for your rooms, you can add other add-ons like maybe you rent a bike, maybe you have breakfast, lunch, dinner available, and whatever a guest when they want to pre-book is available, and literally in just 2 to 4 minutes, if you have all your information available with you, you can have your own booking engine with a website. So you would have say hoteldhaval.com, just in 2 to 4 minutes ready and available, and then you can start putting that link in different platforms and start driving direct booking. So the idea is to, one, build your own website out, which is the first step, and the second step that we're really focusing on now is how do we get you traffic onto that website. So that is where the big thing is. I think Google is the search engine king in this. So one of the things we saw while we were analyzing this is that 80% of travel searches, which is like say hotels in Pondicherry or hotels in Maldives, starts on Google. So that means if you're really able to do well in Google and you just take that 80% of all searches, you take a percent or two, and suddenly you're adding really crazy value uh, to a hotelier. So that was where we understood that, okay, first we build out that Shopify experience. The second thing that we will do different, which is not so prevalent in e-commerce, is we will really emphasize on Google. So be it the fact that you can find our properties now on Google Maps. So when you search for properties near me, you'll see properties available. And if we send a property's price and inventory to Google with our special partnership that we have with them, uh, the search discovery improves. So Google says that if you search for hotels near me and you have put some dates, I want to improve the relevance of the search. So if I know that a property is available on that date with inventory, and I also know that this is the kind of property you will like because Google knows you better than you know you, right? And uh, then you can kind of improve the search discovery for that property. Similarly, when a guest checks out, Booking.com sends you an email or an SMS, WhatsApp saying, "Hey, give us a review." But why not take that review directly on your Google page because your Google page is yours, right? Google has obviously a good authority in terms of if I see a Google review, I do trust it. So the idea is again, if we build your Google business profile well enough with a focus for the short-term rental accommodation or hotel industry, you can again drive more traffic on Google. So that was the second piece that we kind of started solving. And yeah, I think that is where we're at right now. The third upcoming piece post this would be, can you run hotel ads directly? So Google launched a new product where you can tell Google that I will pay you a 5% commission if I get a booking via you. Similar to what you do with Booking.com or GoIbibo. Google just entered the space. So the idea I think here again is that if today you had Google, an online travel agent or an OTA like Booking.com or Make My Trip, and then the hotel, can we remove this layer and let the hotel do it directly and enable that for them as well as possible? So that is next. And post that, we would look at, I think, social media is the next piece where Instagram and WhatsApp and really how look to empower you there.
So, Anirudh, with so many websites on Google already, discoverability, irrespective of the search, becomes difficult. Are you also focusing on building good SEO for these hotels?
Yes, very, very critical piece. In fact, just yesterday we were doing this analysis on uh, how is our SEO doing, and we've been doing this for last 6 months, obviously. And every time we would search a property's name, it would never come up, or our link would never come up. And yesterday we saw that for at least around 10 properties now, the first three links on Google. So if you search, say, Algo Luxury Huts, the third link is us. So it's hotelsify.com/Algo Luxury Huts, and I think we understood from day one that SEO is critical, so we built technical SEO really well. And now we are seeing some fruition because I think for most of our properties, in the first page, Google has understood that if someone searches the property specifically or explicitly, then they are searching for the property's website, and Hotelzify is the provider of that. So I think that is something very critical to us. We've already seen some good value add being done there. We're also launching a feature just next week as a New Year gift to our hotels is where they can get their own domain as well. So what we've noticed is that if you have your own domain, SEO is amazingly strong. So this is another feature that they'll get very soon. And the goal is that SEO should bring in it's organic free traffic, right? And if you want to kind of build if you want to pay low commissions, you need to be organically doing well. So SEO is super critical to us. I think we've done some really good work there, some by chance and some by thought process, but pretty happy with the results we've seen. So yeah, I think that's very critical.
Also, something I've seen in my personal life now is that, of course, a lot of the searches that I do are on Google, but a lot of discoveries that happen are on Instagram.
Right.
And most of the times I try to ping these hotel owners just to ensure that maybe I get a better deal or they don't have to pay a commission to OTAs. I mean, it's a lot to ask for, but are you trying to build something on those lines as well?
Yes, actually, we have been. I think for the last 2, 3 months, I've sent at least 50 mails to Instagram to understand how we could collaborate on a more strategic level. But on a very simple level, what we have done right now is that the link in bio that is there, it's a very powerful piece, right? Because uh, every property owner, like what we saw in terms of traffic, is they get 20% of their views just via Instagram. So if you put your website and your link in bio, and I look at Google and Instagram, 80% probably coming from Google, but 20% is still coming from Instagram. So very critical to us. I think what we have done today are two things. One is uh, setting up this link in bio and helping the hotel understand how to do it as a guide. The second thing is anytime you message on Instagram, you might have noticed that the property probably doesn't reply immediately. So what we've
Yeah.
seen is that sometimes it's very simple. All you're probably asking them is, "Hey, I want to know about your property, maybe what rooms you have, what are the pricing." So we build this simple message for them, which comes out of the box, which is a message which tells you a greeting message to the guest. It tells the guest about the different rooms available with links of the rooms and photos available and describing the room itself. So it's an auto message that instead of them drafting, they can kind of just copy paste from the app and use it. The advantage is that not everyone's able to craft high impact messages. While we might assume that we can, but if you look at India or you look at the rest of the world, which is non-English speaking, uh, they might not be able to do that very easily. So we've kind of drafted this message which has all the details so that you as a guest know that, okay, I want to reach out to them because, as you said correctly, I want to find the best price and reduce their commission. If they are replying with this, obviously, this is the best price. And if I have the details, I can take an action quickly instead of waiting. And sometimes, obviously, because they are limited short staff, they can't reply to all the messages. So these are two things we're doing already. We're also looking to do more in terms of when you like a post of a property, you will get a link saying, hey, this is our booking link. If you're ever interested, book with us. And find more strategic partnerships with the Meta universe itself to kind of really empower hotels on Instagram. Because, yeah, definitely that is a new interesting way of travel. People are using a lot of travels happening through TikTok and Instagram now.
Yeah, I love that. Honestly, if I'm discovering a hotel on Instagram, I'm already sold on the property. All I need is a smooth process to be able to book it, right? Going back to Google searching for the property and then trying to book it via an OTA puts me in that analysis paralysis situation where now I'm looking at five more properties similar to this one when this already had me sold, right? So it's
Right.
interesting to create a smooth experience for users who are also sold on the property via Instagram. I absolutely love that. Also, uh, I mean, just out of curiosity, are you competing with these OTAs, or I mean, the hotel owners who are using your platform, do they also work with OTAs, or are you removing them entirely from the equation?
Right. So I think it's a thing of coexisting, right? So if you look at Amazon and Shopify, both coexist today. People sell on both platforms, both have their own advantages and disadvantages, and I think that's fine. I think the idea for us is to coexist. In fact, how we have built our platform now is that because our app is very easy to use, and we've built the UI like that, we've built vernacular also where we support multiple regional languages. What we want, what we do on top of that is we built an open API infrastructure, which fundamentally is that if you want to kind of share your property information with me, or you want to take our property information and display it on your platform, we want to empower that because fundamentally our goal is that the property owner should have value, right? And for him, value is more bookings at a low commission. And there are two ways to do that. One is you give him a lot of discoverability. So what ONDC is doing in e-commerce is something that we are also building for the property space in the sense that you register with us and we are building it, we have almost actually completed building it an infrastructure so that anyone in the world could very easily plug in into our system, which by very easy, I mean typically just a 1 week of development effort from the day they write the first line of code to bring it to production and really get a very big discoverability opportunity. So what ONDC does is simply that, right? You register on one app and Paytm will show it to you, Dunzo will show it, and every other e-commerce platform can show the listing that or products you're selling. So similarly, we are building that infrastructure to enable them to come everywhere because I see it as if you really want to build the best business, you have to be available everywhere or as many places as possible. So that we're going to do. And the second thing is you have a direct website so that you kind of build your direct traffic. But I think it's coexisting. It always should be that there are definite advantages to OTAs as well that, in terms of discoverability, in terms of service that they focus on. And we would provide you an alternate opportunity because you always should have options available. And that's how we look at it going forward as well.
Can you talk a little bit more about your GTM strategy, your go-to-market strategy, and maybe also your market size?
Sure. So, till date, how I've done this is we've always felt that it should be a low CAC business. So we've typically just taken the phone call, called properties and said, hey, we have Hotelzify, this is what we do. Uh, are you interested? And then kind of onboard them on the phone. Sometimes we do a video call. The goal of this was simple, right? If you want to cover a big country like India, you can't put fleet on street. Maybe a little bit here and there, but predominantly, I think how we look at it, today 100% of it has been through phone call, and probably in the future 80 to 90% will be via phone call. So that has been our GTM strategy. So it's a combination of phone call, email, WhatsApp. You sit in your at home or wherever you're traveling at, and you can pretty much onboard properties. Uh, in the future, we're looking at a few more things. One is, I think, trying to go to the travel community and kind of see that, hey, you're traveling to so many places. Maybe if you onboard the properties itself that you are, traveling to, we would give you a commission or we would give you some sort of monetary model that works and kind of really empower the traveler community as well. Because while I've been traveling, what I've seen is a lot of people who love to travel and they look for monetary options to kind of earn money, which is not too much, but they'll want a little bit, right? Maybe a 20, 50, 20, 30,000 rupees additionally. So doing this could become their pocket money for them to kind of continue their travel dreams and also help us kind of reach the more remote areas where we don't particularly won't be able to set up a free FOS team anyway. Uh, in terms of market size, so uh, I think there are a lot of varied numbers, but Booking.com has about 28 million listings across the world today. Uh, Airbnb has about 6 to 8 million listings in the alternative accommodation space. Obviously, Booking.com is much bigger and older, but so that is the broad-based market size that we're seeing. In India itself, Booking.com has about 800,000 listings. So I'm sure there's a little bit more that even they have not captured, but I would put India at about a million and probably the world at about 40, 50 million. assuming Booking has, very good penetration, but still would not have more than 50%. Uh, and those are so this includes hotels, budget properties, hostels, service apartments, maybe some resorts and the entire space. But that's pretty much the market size in terms of global revenues. I think it was about $1.8 trillion in the year prior to COVID. So I think a lot of money does flow into hotel booking space itself. And that's expected, I think, because travel in itself is a big, I think market size wise, it is big. It's about how to optimize and really figure out who you're trying to add value for. And that's, I think, what we're doing right now.
I actually also interestingly read about your partnership with TVO Group, if I'm not wrong. Can
Yes,
you talk a little bit about that as well?
sure. So, surprisingly, one of the things that while I was researching, I found out is that still, even in US, I think 48 or 52%, somewhere in that range, is still booked via travel agents. And these are offline travel agents, or so you are basically calling someone and then booking, and they're booking a property on behalf of you. So what we realize is travel agents, while to you and I and many people are like, oh, who uses travel agents anymore? They are still a very prevalent part in the space. I think corporate travel, family travel still has travel agents. And whatever travel agents do is high ticket size. Like they do it for people who are typically older and hence have more capital to spend. So this is where our partnership with TBO is very interesting, is because they are one of the largest, or if I'm not mistaken, the largest travel agent platform in the world, where travel agents typically go on their platform to book everything from a flight ticket to cabs, to hotels, to even a cruise or a ship. So the entire end-to-end travel journey, they kind of support travel agents in. And all property owners, if you look at, there are so many of these properties where you will tell your travel agent, hey, मुझे कुछ अलग चाहिए, right? Or you want something really different and unique. And unique stays to find for a travel agent is not super simple, right? Because he will then have to go directly, probably talk to a property owner. So what we thought is that when we are building a supply pool, we could also provide the supply to also share the supply with TBO, with our open API infrastructure, fundamentally giving these properties a new avenue of business which they never had, right? All of them today, if a property does it, he'll probably sign up with his local travel agent, but that's max. He can't do more than that sitting wherever. But if we tell him, hey, we can give you visibility to the entire TBO travel agent network, and also their own, they obviously share information of their properties to a lot of different vendors. The visibility can improve for them overnight massively. And a new kind of visibility, not something they had before. And I'm saying, hey, I'll do it cheaper. I'm actually giving you something new that you didn't have before. So the partnership is to kind of empower that for properties. And I think we're really excited to do this because it'll really help our properties, because they all talk about visibility and travel agents. And I think it was just a perfect relationship in that sense.
Yeah, that sounds very fascinating. It could also actually be a great add-on to your GTM strategy, if I'm not wrong, right? Because this is, like you said, this is not something that you're trying to do cheaper. It's a altogether a new structure that you're putting in place. So who else is building Hotelsify with you?
Yeah, so just to add before that point, I think as you said, will help us in our GTM. We are looking at international markets to also, kind of leverage the TBO network, because you obviously have a great team across 50 plus countries. So yeah, I think to add to your point, I think totally agree, and that's something we are working on, where to kind of go international, why not use a giant, right? It's so much more easier. They have the right resources available. So we are kind of also looking at that piece.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
also
to your
initially keeps your CAC low, if I'm not wrong.
Yep. Obviously, I think that is the ulterior idea also, right? That it'll help a lot with CAC. And yeah, I think I think that brand name as well, people will trust you more if you are associated with a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
brand that's built it for so many years. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so let's actually talk about your team. Who else is building Hotelsify with you?
Sure. So we have Unni, who's my batchmate from college in NITK. He did electrical engineering. I did CS, but he's the CTO, and I'm handling business, kind of switched roles there. But he's in tech. He's actually a part of a startup called Yulu, which is now pretty big as well in India. Uh, was one of their first engineers there, built the product for almost 2 years, from a very basic version to, a version that was being used by 100,000 users. So he worked on that. He had his own startup also, which was in the agri tech space. in Kerala. Unfortunately, because of COVID, they had to close, but prior to the month they had to close, they did almost 1 crore of GMV. And there also he handled tech again, and he built tech for people who are not very tech strong, right? So if you look at agri-tech supply chain, you have truck drivers, you have farmers, but he was able to build tech for them. So again, that really helps us because we are building tech for people who are not the most tech savvy, I would say. Obviously, much more tech savvy than say farmers and the agri spaces, but still would appreciate making things easy for them. So I think that insight really helps. So yeah, I've known Uni since college, so obviously we've been friends for almost now 2012 when we started, so 10 years now. So we do have a good working relationship with each other. He's also someone who's, when he's traveled, he's heard about the whole commission piece. So when I first called him, he said, "Oh yeah, I know this problem. Everyone complains about it." So it didn't take me long to explain the problem to him. I think it took 2 minutes. He understood, and we're like, "Okay, let's build something out." We also have, apart from that, our team is predominantly quite young. So all freshers or 1 year experience. Um, and I think that helps us because we have high energy and we want our team also to have high energy. So we have a couple of Srinivas, who's a Flutter lead who builds the app out for us. Uh, Again, very customer centric person. So kind of reaches out to everyone, understands uh, what the property really wants and building the app out for that. We built out vernacular with 10 languages support just today. We launched it today morning, and it was only because he spoke to hotels and said, "Hey, Anirudh, I'm hearing hotels tell me that they don't understand some of the English words that we have put. Why don't we do vernacular? It's quite easy." And literally in I think 5 days he launched out a vernacular version. Srinivas does leads our tech piece in terms of the app, which is what the hotels use. Then we have Akhilesh, who leads the website piece, who joined us recently. Again, he's worked on front end for since college. He's always known he wanted to be a front end developer. Very helpful because we wanted to have specialists who are young, so kind of so they have the energy, but they also know their space very well. So while Akhilesh is also only a 1 year experience in terms of experience, but he started building front end technology from second year in college. So I would look at him as a 4 year experienced person, but with the energy of a fresher. So these two are also joined our team right now. Apart from that, we're still going to build out our team, probably get, we are looking at some strategic hires in terms of people who have been in the hotel space for our GTM, who have spent 5 to 7 years. And we have a few candidates who are ready to join. So probably very soon, in a month's time, we'll kind of finalize on who that will be. And their purpose is because they would give us the experience of the industry and, just give us that direction as well. So we want to have a combination of high energy intensity, which is very critical, I think, to in a startup, and some experience in that domain, so that you kind of have someone who's reminding you what's going good and what's going bad. We have advisors also who are travel agents who kind of advise us and give us their inputs. That's when we realized TBO is an amazing, uh, you know, uh, synergy, because the travel agents actually told us that, hey, sometimes people ask us for properties in offbeat places or local travel, and we don't have a good supply pool. So if you kind of have some options available, that'll be very helpful. So I think we've also kept those travel agents with us so that we have people who are always telling us how travel has worked before, because whatever solution we build, I think while you need to break things, you need to make it work with what's working today. If you break too much and there is too much disruption, then sometimes you'll have the industry kind of just saying, "Hey, I don't want you anymore, sorry." Right.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think so that's a right balance to have, and that's how we're kind of looking at it. Having people in the travel space as advising us or working with us, but on the tech front, finding people who are really young, passionate, and who really push and think how to do things in a faster way, in a more efficient way. Yep, that's our team. Quite small right now,
Yes.
but hopefully will be
So
much
I
bigger.
absolutely, yeah, I mean, I absolutely love what you're building. And it was an amazing conversation. Once again, thank you so much for taking time out. All the best for your journey ahead.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Dhaval. Thanks a lot for your time. It was really good talking to you.